Hey there, Mikhail here with Toasty DIY, and today I'm doing a video over some editing tips and methodology that I've learned through, video editing for the last 3 years. So I thought I'd just go ahead and share some of the things that I do to make my editing from rough cut to final product as efficient as possible. And these things have changed over time. I've made videos like this in the past. If you want to check them out, you can see maybe how that's changed. But today we're editing a video, a pretty basic laptop overview, and I just want to talk about some decisions I made and why I make them. So what you'll see in the background here is just the OBS recording of me doing that. I have my file system and everything to the side because I don't want to accidentally spoil any upcoming videos or anything like that. So you're just gonna be watching my main monitor. So what you'll see is the first thing I do is just drag in any clips, usually the first two, three, or four. Typically we do a time lapse in the middle, or we start a gameplay section. And I usually drag in everything pre-gameplay, and then I'll do gameplay, and then I'll do outro, all in those kind of increments. So the first thing you'll see me editing is the intro, and what we do is my first watch of every video is kind of like your rough draft. If you ever went to school and you submitted rough drafts, second drafts, things like that, we're looking for that rough draft first pass. We're not trying to make it perfect. We're trying to read the story to get an idea of what's happening. So you're going through and cutting out ums and uhs and things that you know have to go, but then you're leaving in that extra fluff that you may choose to delete later, or you may choose to keep it depending on how well you know the people that you're editing for. Since I've been editing for Matt and Jackson for so long, I can kind of read the wave format and see when they want things to be deleted or kept, because when they chat over each other, I know they're usually just jabbering to each other versus talking to the camera. So going through that, we're just deleting everything that's not useful, ums, uhs, and just outside talk they're not interested in. And at the same time, I'm listening for what they're talking about and what's going on in the video. So I kind of start thinking of what's the thumbnail, what's the title, because I know what they've put on Trello. And I use that to motivate how the edit is, because if the edit is about why do people buy this laptop, but I'm only focusing on the horrible parts and the amazing parts, that I'm selling this as a don't buy or do buy, because they may say in one line, oh, this isn't really going to work, and then later go, oh no, that did work. And if I cut out, oh no, it did work, then people will assume it didn't overall. So you're just trying to keep in those parts. So you can decide, once you know what the story is, you can go back and cut things that are important or not important. In this video, there's going to be a for instance where we found out we know the company that produces these laptops. We've met them. So for my second piece of advice, I do recommend that if you're going to be doing any sort of work after on the second draft, like you're going to come back for a meme, for a second pass, for a second look, if you know that you need to call attention to an area, I highly recommend labeling. Either get a shortcut on your computer, on your keyboard for control numpad, something like that, so you can label things. The section I'm labeling orange is something I have to give to Zach to do callouts on. He'll do all the callouts and everything, and then I know exactly where it's going to fit back in. I don't have to worry about being a frame off. By labeling the entire in to out section that I rendered mango, I know exactly where it's going to go back when Zach's finished with it, which actually at this moment he is, so I'll be adding that in here in a moment. And labeling can extend beyond just areas that you're exporting. It can be really to tell you where to go back. So if you know you want a lower third, like when you're introducing someone, I think it's best to label it, not to add that lower third immediately, because motions and graphics are going to slow down your editing workflow. So get to the end of your rough draft, then go back and add that stuff, and you'll know exactly where to add it if you label it. You really only need two colors if you're doing parts lower third. So if it's motherboard, CPU, then a cooler, you can just go red, blue, and you just know that every time it alternates is the beginning of a new part or the end of an old one. But you can make your coloring coding system as unique or defined as you want. You'll notice in the gameplay section, I have 3 labels. I have mango, I have rose, and I have yellow. Yellow means they're talking, but it's mostly gameplay focused. Mango means it's mostly talking focused with gaming in the background, and red means full gaming focus with little to no talking that's not just funny banter. And so I adjust the volume based on that. Speaking of volume and things like that, I don't add music till the very end. So you'll notice this entire time there's not going to be any music added. This can change depending on the creativity of the video. When we're doing our more basic ones that aren't the budget wheel spin and those ones, I typically worry about music last. However, it is a really good idea if you have the time, and this is going to be a long video that you're working on, to start thinking of the music now and let that motivate a lot of your story. But for these ones, when we're trying to crank out 5 videos to 7 videos a week, I've got to think of it as efficiency, and I look at music being the last thing I add, because I can always find music to match the vibe but it's hard to make the video match the vibe when I don't know what it's about yet. And like I said, this is our first watch, so we're figuring out what it's about. Lastly, when you're gonna go back and you finished your entire rough cut, you'll have kind of your defined sections. For you, it'll probably be like an intro, then you might have like the meat of it, or you're gonna get into topic A, B, or C. For us, we're gonna have intro, unboxing, gameplay, outro. That's gonna be our frames. And we don't have a lot of B-roll in the beginning because they're going quick when we try to cut up, so it's fast, fast, fast. So we're getting a lot of different shots. We could do zoom in, zoom outs, but we don't have a lot of B-roll for that section. Jonah takes all of our B-roll, and usually I use that at the end to help spice up the outro, since now you're going to get the full their thoughts on the device. Now you're seeing the whole thing because they've now seen it. You've seen how it works, and now you get to see it in kind of a beauty shots. Then we have our time spy benchmarks. We just drop that over top. You'll notice I marked that in tan. I did that because I want to know exactly when he says the exact score of it, so I can just show benchmarks up to the exact score. And then we're going back and we're adding transitions, we're adding sounds, we're adding all that. If you expand out a timeline for sound, you can hold control, and that'll let you add pinpoints that you can up and down, lower, raise, however, with your things. So you'll notice in the benchmark section, I'm raising when it's red, I'm lowering it when it's yellow, and I'm doing just normal when it's in mango. So I don't have to even listen to the video again to know that's when it's there, because I know how I cut it. And by marking it for myself, I save myself a lot of re-listening to the video, because I've got 4 more to do or 3 more to do in a day. So to be efficient, we don't need to listen to it if we do the work during the rough cut. After this, it gets sent off to Matt, who will then review it. He'll give it back to me. Anything that he knows that I'm not super tech savvy, he'll tell me, hey, Mark, a correction for this spot, that's not the right processor. Hey, I don't like how I said this, or what Jackson said. He'll let me know what I've got to fix, and then it'll go back through. So it really goes through kind of a rough draft, a setup, a review, a finished, and then we render a final product with an ad spot. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, check the comments down below. But this is just an updated kind of methodology video on how I currently do the Toasty Bros videos. So thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.